The current economic system is rigged. Orthodox economic policies produce outcomes that always involve inequality, dramatic inequality. And the question is, why as economists do we accept this? In broad terms, I think there's two ways in which economists might reconcile these outcomes of gross inequality. First, most economists believe that orthodox economic policies focusing on consumption and growth produce the best economic outcomes, and in aggregate that the world is better off, and that the extent to which there is inequality, this is seen as market failure, and it's the role of government to a greater or lesser extent to correct inequalities. The second idea relates to the acceptability of inequality. Some economists believe in a kind of survival of the fittest approach, and this sees inequality as inevitable. Those that work hard do well, and those that don't work hard won't. To some, there's a further element to this, that this is based on kind of natural ability and talent, a kind of elitist view. For me, both these ideas are fundamentally flawed. The outcome is always deep structural inequality that can never be corrected. Yet these are the key ideas that lie behind orthodox economic theory. And the vast majority of economists accept this. They accept it. They might say that it's not perfect, but it's the best that we have. Now let's just be clear on the outcome produced by orthodox economic policies. Let's take a look at UK wealth. The top 10% of the population, that's around 6.7 million people, own 49% of the wealth. And the least wealthy 50% of the population, that's around 33 million people, own 6% of the wealth. This means that the economic competition is not fair. It's like the richer you are, the more advantage you have. And if you're at the back, it's almost impossible to ever get near the front. The top 10% are so far ahead in relation to the bottom 10%. Imagine this is the race. The 10% most wealthy people in the UK run the race, but they have a massive head start to people in the bottom 50% of UK wealth. Yeah, of course, there's the odd exception, which makes people believe that it's possible. One feature of this race is that the harder the bottom 50% work, the richer they make the top 10%. They actually make the wealthy more wealthy and give them more chance in the next race. This is kind of absurd. I'm perplexed how we can accept this. We can't really blame the 10%. Each year they pat themselves on the back for winning the race. Of course, these 10% have the most influence in terms of economic policy, access to MPs, ownership of the media. You can see that there's little mainstream interest in questioning any of this. An important question to ask is, where does this distribution come from? Of course, if everyone started from the same place, the outcomes would be unequal, but at each race, every person would have an equal chance. The system we live in isn't like this. Wealth gets passed down from generation to generation. Some of this wealth may go back to tyrants and bullies from medieval feudal systems, lords, barons, kings. Capitalism is not a fair race. Inequality will persist, and this is a systematic flaw in orthodox economics. So let's try and find something new. This is my mission.